100 questions about writing in 5 minutes or less. Let's go! Question 19. What do you think the role of social media should be in the life of an author? Interesting question. What I think it should be versus the reality is very, very different, but that's the question. I think it shouldn't have much of a role in the life of an author at all, to be honest. These days, you have to. It has to be involved in some capacity. There are some authors that have reached a certain level that they don't need to engage in social media. They can just talk about whatever they want. They don't even need to talk about their books. People follow them for their personalities. Now, social media has become an outlet where people can contact anybody a lot more immediately. They can message them. You can message, I don't know if Tom Cruise is on social media, but you can message him or another actor or TV star or anybody you particularly want and say hello. They may not see it, they may, you just don't know. Authors now tend to use social media to promote themselves, to create a brand, to create an image. Some have risen to fame and gone on to great things because of their success on social media through something else. They've been picked up. Some have used it as a tool to self-publish and then promote their books and have gone on. Ideally, I think it should just be a way for me to kind of use it as a, coffee break, a water cooler thing to discuss things. And that's kind of how I approach it generally. Twitter, I'm not going to call it its new name because it's just not that. I am kind of on there now, but I tend to only post updates. Previously, I used it for everything, to talk to people. I do a little bit of that, talking to other author friends and other people who interact with me. That's the other thing, right? If you follow me and then never say anything, I'm not going to immediately talk back to you. So if you want to say something and have a conversation, say hi. Instagram is probably better because I tend to do more on there. I'm more active on there. I think it can be useful. It doesn't mean you have to have a massive following to get a book and get a deal. That's nonsense. That isn't true. That's another myth. I've done a bunch of videos about traditional publishing myths. Go and watch them. Yes, they can help. Yes, social media is useful for getting the word out, but a lot of people don't use it to read their books. They just go into bookshops or they have other friends and family and other trusted sources that isn't social media. The danger of social media is it breeds a kind of false closeness. People think because they can message somebody or because they're interacting with them and talking to them on there, they know that person. Social media, everybody presents their best version or a fake version of themselves. The world could be falling apart, they're having a terrible time, but on Twitter it'll say, had a great day, ate a bagel, went to the shops, feeling good. And you don't have the deep and meaningful conversations on there where you bare your soul. Some do, but I don't think you should ever do that. I think that's just kind of weird and gross. You talk to your friends and family and people actually physically in the real world that know you, which is how I would prefer to have conversations. And Twitter, and there's spats and there's pile-ons and there's like a storm in a teacup to do with publishing. Something's always coming up. So I kind of keep it at a distance these days. I engage with it up to a certain degree. I prefer physical events to talk to other writers and readers and just engage with them on there. Obviously, YouTube, great way I talk to people and have live streams with things. I prefer long-form discussion and face-to-face discussion. Social media isn't useful for that. It isn't good for long conversations and in-depth kind of debates about anything. Someone's always going to take it the wrong way, and it's a lot easier to correct something face-to-face. I think it should be a very minor part of an author's life, but these days it isn't. A website is usually a minimum presence, and some people can use social media to their advantage to promote their books very, very successfully. But it's another skill set that authors are expected to have. We expect it to be personalities, whether you're self-published or traditionally, or no matter how big the publisher is. And some people just aren't good with that. They're great at writing books, but they're not outspoken. They're not extroverts, and faking that can be really difficult for them, and it's just really hard. So I don't think you should use social media as a writer to promote yourself if you're not comfortable doing it, or only use the ones where you're in control or you're happy using, whether that's Instagram or a message board or a Discord or whatever it might be.